Hey everyone, this is Super Tycon, and today I thought I would go through some of my battle replays with a good friend of mine named Vinu, often called Vinard as well. Really cool guy. He runs the USFC on our Hellish Court Discord, so if you're interested in any Hellish Court PvP, feel free to go check out his channel and check us out on the Discord. So he and I did a bunch of games in Shogun 2 that I thought were pretty uh, interesting, and I had a lot of fun with each and every one of them. And so, for context, Vinu is a very new player to Shogun 2. Alright, so anyone watching this video, like, don't be overly critical to him. He learned as he went, he got better as he went too. He won, as I recall, 2 battles. He actually has all of the battles on his YouTube channel if you want to go look for yourself and verify what I'm saying. But yeah, we played a bunch of these battles, and of course, I won most of them, but there were a bunch that were close, and he got better as we went, so I was really impressed. Of course, in my case, I'm just coming back from Shogun into Shogun 2. I have been playing other games mostly, not Shogun 2 as much, but I do have 1,000 hours plus in the game, so it's kind of unfair in that sense. But considering that, I think he still did a really good job, all things considered. And the games were a lot of fun. I hope we play some more. And so I thought I would just show you guys some of these replays. And you can see I have some funny names for some of these too. Um, yeah, so we'll just go through them. I played like 9+ battles with them or something. And I'm not gonna show my losses here. I don't have them recorded as replays, but you can happily go look at them yourself if you want to see how he beat me the other 2 times. One of them involved his trademark tactic that was just breaking through my front line. That seems to be the tactic he's gone with, and he's gone on to perfect. So, and another one involved the use of horse archers and wasn't particularly interesting. But let's start with the first one. And I think I'll do like 1 or 2 for this video. I don't want to make it very long. All right, so let's play this replay. I went with the Takeda clan, and I forget which clan at this point, because it's been a little bit, that Vinard went with. Um, but his lack of experience does kind of show in this first battle. And I knew he lacked experience, so I was taking him seriously. I wasn't, holding anything back here. But I was rusty at the time for sure, so it went way better than I expected. So I just want to show you my composition here. I went for a pike and shot army. So what I have here is Matchlock Ashigaru forming my skirmishing component. And then in the rear, I actually have some Naginata Samurai, Katana Samurai, and then a Naginata Samurai here on the flank. And the Ariashigaru. I do rearrange a little bit such that the Samurai are on the flanks or in the rear as a reserve in the flank. But, and then the Ashigaru are forming my main line of spearmen. And the Yari Ashigaru, of course, are very cheap. They're not particularly good, but I can field a lot of them. And a nice thing about Yari Ashigaru is they can go into Yari Wall. Yari Wall makes them even better, actually, than Yari Samurai from the front. They'll still be beaten by Naginata Samurai and Katana Samurai. And obviously, when they're in the Yari Wall formation, they're very vulnerable to being flanked. They're basically like pseudo pikemen when you put them in that formation. But even against Samurai, they will hold their ground. Other Ashigaru will be slaughtered if they try and take them on head-on, unless it's another Yari wall, in which case it's relatively even fight, of course. Obviously, long Yari Ashigaru are in theory even better, but as far as bang for your buck, it's actually hard to beat Yari Ashigaru oftentimes. I think oftentimes you want them to be your sort of main component of your army. But my real strength, I would say, as you'd expect from the Takeda clan, is the cavalry. And for most of my battles, it is the cavalry that I bank on to win these battles. So I've got these Takeda fire cavalry, arguably the best cavalry in the game as far as melee cavalry. Basically, they're kind of a mix, I think, between shock and melee cavalry. That seems to be what they seem to be pretty good at both, especially the shock, though. They're very good shock cavalry. And as you can see here, they're considered shock cavalry more than anything. Anti-cav, if you will, also very good in the charge. Not as good in a stand-up melee, I don't think, as katana cavalry, but if you charge katana cavalry with them, and it's a solid charge, you will win, and they will defeat Yari cavalry as well, generally speaking. So my goal with these cavalry is just to cause as much chaos in his lines as I can, and just cause as sheer pandemonium, because I know his lack of micro will make such a tactic perhaps a bit easier to perform against him. It's a little mean of me to do this right off the bat, but he gets better surprisingly quickly, and he starts to learn how powerful cavalry really is. So he will change his tactics as time goes on. And I almost forgot to mention, I actually support my guns oftentimes with bow samurai. Bow samurai are very accurate. They have a bit more range than the muskets, and they can shoot over their heads. So they're a really nice unit to have as a support to the skirmish line. But I tend to favor the gun over the bow, so hence why mostly gun is on my side. And as for my general, it's just a regular general. I didn't go with Takeda Shingen. I think the expensive generals are unfortunately often not worth it, but it would be cool to bring Takeda Shingen into a battle one of these times for sure. So Vinu here not very strong with the cavalry, and again that's going to be a huge disadvantage going into this battle. Um, but he does have these light cavalry, and light cavalry are basically only good, in my opinion, for attacking skirmish cavalry and attacking weak infantry, just moving quickly and harassing, getting in and out. They're not good at any sort of stand-up fight. They're not really a full-fledged samurai unit either, though they are, decked out in samurai armor, and I think they are considered a samurai unit. Clearly, they're lighter than any other, cavalry unit, such as these fire cavalry, which are a Takeda exclusive unit, by the way. It's one of their specialist Sengoku units here. So he's got one unit of the light cavalry. And to be fair, cavalry does take a lot of effort to micromanage, and that's something I was a little worried about going in because I was rusty, but I managed to make it work. So I understand the wanting to use an infantry army here. So he has Yari Ashigaru, bunch of those, but then he's got these Naginata Samurai as well, Katana Samurai, Yari Ashigaru. So interesting, I'm kind of refreshing my memory here. So he has Ashigaru on the flanks, but then he's got the samurai down the middle. So that's basically been his strategy this whole time, right? He wants his best troops in the vanguard in the center. That can work. It absolutely can work, but I often like having just a small reserve line or having my best troops on the flank oftentimes. That's usually the way I do it. Yeah, but it was quite interesting, I suppose, that he did this. And he has a Katana Samurai reserve here. And of course, Date Masamune, he went with the Daimyo General, which is pretty cool. As for his skirmish line, he's brought a lot of skirmishers. He's got the Matchlock Ashigaru, 3 units of them. Then he's got 4 units, actually, of these Bow Ashigaru. So again, a cheap skirmishing component just like me, but he's got archers and guns, a good mix of both. So really interesting idea there by Vinu. I'm gonna start the battle right away as we move out here. Vinu, of course, he's a very offensive-minded player. I'm more balanced. I'm happy to defend when I need to defend, and I'm also happy to go on the attack when I need to. So tend to base it off the situation at hand. But Vinu is, he's a man of action, so he's moving immediately. Oh yes, he's got another unit of these light cavalry. Another thing light cavalry can be very good at is getting to these sorts of dojos and stuff really quickly and capturing them. We were using buildings at first for this purpose, so you'll see them in a few of our battles. And here I'm just sending in my Takeda fire cavalry to get his light cavalry off the point. My issue, of course, is that he's running all of these infantry and skirmish infantry into this point here, so I decide to move away, deciding that this fight is not winnable. Though Date Masamune was right here, I could have gotten an early general kill if I was really ambitious. And of course, if I had cavalry right here, it is possible I could have swooped in and hit some of his skirmish infantry, but it was quite a risk, I think. I think the timing of when I do launch my cavalry charge was much more difficult for Vinu to deal with down the road. He's relatively well organized at this point, his men forming up here. He really wants the ranged advantage, as you can see, so he's taken that dojo. I was a bit slow to move, I'll be honest. My micro isn't always perfect here. And I didn't want to be too reckless, but I did want my cavalry, when the time is right, to unleash hell on his army. So I'll skip here. There's a little bit of a standoff. Vinu again moves to the flank, actually. Stretches his line a little bit. And then he advances as I form up to meet him. I brought my bow samurai up to the flank here to support my guns. Mainly because they have more range. So the logic is, as the guns engage, the samurai can engage some of his units at longer range. And I might even be able to get shots like on his light cavalry, for example. And his Ashigaru are actually pretty soft targets. And as this is happening, I'm taking the sword dojo. Very important for my cavalry strategy. Very, very important for that. So I am being proactive in that sense. And he's slowly inching forward. I'm being a bit defensive because I want him to sort of come in, commit his infantry, and then my cavalry can swoop in and cause chaos. That is my initial thought going in. My lines are quite stretched out, to be honest, and that is something I think I later realized I have to work on, for sure. Because if they're stretched too thin, the Yari wall does lose some of its effectiveness. Some places I'm only like 2 ranks, 3 ranks deep. It still works, oftentimes, but if you've got really good samurai charging you, that's where it can really screw you over. At this point, he has started the skirmish with his archers. And this was really smart on his part. He's got the archers behind, the guns forward, so the guns can hit his archers. And I'll admit my micro was a little weak here. He got his light cavalry into my skirmishers, really good use of them. But at the same time, my cavalry swoops in to take his cavalry out. So I managed to blunt this attack quite effectively, but actually it was Vinu who initiated this engagement, and you could say he's forcing me to engage. Here he's got his light cavalry again trying the same thing, but I've got these Yari Ashigaru in spear wall and these Naginata samurai. And these bow samurai do definitely take a hit, but they're more hardy than some of these Ashigaru who dealt with some of those cavalry charges. And down the line, my guns are finally engaging. Really good use of his bows earlier, because they outrange my guns, actually. Not really historically accurate, but that's the way the game balances the ranged weapons. And you can see my cavalry moving in and out really quickly. And I've got this whole wing of cavalry here. We're going to swoop around and try and strike the enemy in the flank. That is the goal here. And if you look at it from Vinu's perspective, I was moving these guys really quickly, such that it was actually kind of hard for him to react to that. So I've got these Yari Ashigaru and Yari Wall, and they're supported by these Naginata Samurai, and I bring my cavalry in one swoop, seeing these isolated units. He's able to run his Ashigaru back, which might have been better in theory than simply standing and taking the charge in the flank, but at this point the unit is surrounded, and I get my cavalry out of there pretty quickly. So the spearmen aren't able to slaughter my cavalry as you might have been hoping. Down the middle, his Katana Samurai have engaged some of my skirmishers, but at least they are pinned in place, while this unit of Yari Ashigaru in spear wall is going to go take them on, which is better than them not being in spear wall. And as you can see, my cavalry, this is happening really quickly, I apologize if I'm not capturing everything, but my cavalry keeps moving in and out. His men are completely boxed in at this point. and I'm largely achieving my objective as far as causing chaos. And his skirmishers, he had so many skirmishers, they're actually fairly vulnerable to these cavalry charges, and as are even these katana samurai in the long term. As you can see, we get a nice charge into the flank of these katana samurai. These Naginata samurai not paying attention. I'm trying to target units like this that are vulnerable to these sorts of charges, trying to avoid polearm infantry because they are the infantry that can deal with cavalry easily. Date Masamune in the back here gets charged by my cavalry as well. I'm trying to take his head because that will accelerate the end of this battle here. And on the right flank, the fight has been won for the most part. The samurai attack here that he launched was rather isolated, and its shock was lost pretty quickly. These Yari Ashigaru are not in Yari wall, and they're engaging my Ashigaru from the front, so they have no problem even with thin ranks. And I'm starting to actually flank around with my infantry now that we've won on the left as well. We've got not only spear walls, but we've got matchlock infantry and both samurai which are able to engage from long range. I should really get these guns engaged quicker. Again, an issue of my micro. And the cavalry are kind of struggling to end this battle as quick as I was hoping, but his men are surrounded, so they're kind of achieving their goal. They're causing tons of chaos. He's got men routing bit by bit, and so long term his chances of winning are just evaporating, and he doesn't really know what to do at this point. You can tell how just how chaotic this battle is, thanks to my constant cavalry charges. And gradually, we're just encircling his army completely. He is stuck in this set of trees here. And you can see I've got Katana Samurai standing here doing nothing, but with these guns shooting into his army, they're taking some casualties as well, but with guns shooting into his army, with cavalry attacking his flank, Vinu's just in a lot of trouble. He's got these guns in the rear, but they're not able to really get a clear shot, and he starts running them away, which makes it easier for my cavalry to run them down, but running them away was sensible, because he's got these Yari Ashigaru who might be able to help them out. The problem is, because they're running away, they can't really support this fight anymore. And here his spearmen actually do take out a collection of my Matchlock Ashigaru. Again, a failure on my part to micromanage them properly. Clearly my micro wasn't on point in this chaotic battle in the woods. But I still use my cavalry quite well. We swoop in, we hit some of these matchlocks and move out as soon as these Yari Ashigaru challenge them. My cavalry, some of their units are low in numbers at this point, but I think they've largely done their job. And here he's got Naginata Samurai. As you can see, the fight is even with these Yari Ashigaru from the front. They are starting to kind of break through a bit, but with the support of these guns, this fight is not problematic in the slightest, and we are gradually winning. My bow samurai harassing these Ashigaru, and these cavalry here, these fire cavalry of 26 men, still, they're able to charge down all of these skirmishers, and as they run away, their morale is just gonna collapse. And as you can see, the center has been completely won by my men.
My lord!
My men were just better positioned, I think, and my cavalry supporting with my guns in the end won the battle, and we just see a train route as my cavalry chases down the rest of these men. And so that is the end of the battle. It's a close victory. It actually was kind of hectic for both sides, but my infantry component stayed relatively intact, and my cavalry did take some casualties, but they took many men with them and caused a lot of chaos in his lines. So in doing so, we forced him to essentially blob up in the woods, and from then on we just cleaned up his army. And that's just the power of cavalry. A lot of people think, since there's a lot of polearm infantry in Shogun 2, that cavalry is often weak, which can be true, to be fair. It absolutely can be true, but as you can see here, if you use cavalry really actively and manage to cause some chaos, you can definitely make it work and make them worthwhile for their cost, because they do cost a lot, of course, for their lack of numbers as cavalry. So let's have a look here at kills. For instance, my Takeda Fire Cavalry did great. 261 for this one, 165, 342 for this unit. My matchlocks actually didn't kill all that many men, but because they've been shooting at the enemy, they've obviously been inflicting morale damage, and I think that's really the value they had in this battle. It wasn't so much that they were killing tons of men, it's that they were getting in the flanks, they were firing volleys as this entire battle was going on. And even these bow samurai, they didn't lose very many, to be fair, but they only got like 44 kills, which is not bad. It's not bad for a bow unit, but it could have been better for sure for such an expensive unit. But I think having that unit supporting the guns is very helpful. Being able to reach out a little bit farther and skirmish with the enemy a little bit. The Yari Ashigaru actually fared better than my skirmishing component, though. Some units getting as much as 127 kills. 93 kills, 106 kills, 111 kills. So the Ashigaru, as you can see, like, for their cost, they're not worth that much, but they can kill a lot of enemies, even other samurai, and they will slaughter other Ashigaru if they manage to maintain a Yari wall formation. This Naginata samurai evidently did not engage in much fighting because we only got 26 kills and lost 2 men, but this unit here did okay, 75 kills. This Katana samurai did really well though, 207 kills, having lost 73 of their men. And yeah, Vinard's army essentially didn't do anywhere near as well. He didn't have any units that really stood out. Maybe like his Katana samurai and Naginata samurai, but most of them got equivalent numbers of kills and got wiped off the field over time. But still, very good effort on his part. I liked the idea of using bows to support the guns. I think he just didn't have an answer for my cavalry. His cavalry was weak, and I was able to control the pace of the battle, I think. And once my cavalry caused chaos, as a new player, this is like his first multiplayer battle, period, right? It's not just his first battle against me, so let's keep that in mind. But, yeah, it just goes to show how strong the Takedo horsemen are, and how useful cavalry really is in this game. And that's going to be a theme in these battles coming up as well, but we'll also see the value in being able to rush down your opponent from the front, which cavalry often struggles with against spearmen, so stay tuned for more battles. This was a very fun battle with Vinard. A good game to my opponent. And I'll see you guys next time. We'll definitely be posting some more battles for sure in our little series of engagements here, because they are all a lot of fun. Anyway, I'll see you next time.